So welcome to the show. Glad to have you on the show today, Candice. Oh, I'm so thrilled that you're here today. So if I can just start off with a little bit about your background and how did you end up in Kansas City?
Well, you have to ask my parents, but no, I was born and raised here. So born and raised in KCK, went to Sumner Academy for high school, which is like the college preparatory school on the Kansas side, because I know Lincoln on the Missouri side is like the quote unquote talked about school. So
Got it.
yeah, born and raised.
So you didn't want to ever leave, go somewhere
Well,
else?
I did though. I did. So for college, I went to Los Angeles. I went to Loyola Marymount University. Ended up out there for the 4 years. But you know what? I'm a Midwest girl at heart. So after graduation, I decided to move back to Kansas City.
Okay.
This is home sweet home for me.
Got it. Very cool. So tell me about currently what your businesses are. What exactly do you do?
Yeah, so what I exactly do, online health coaching. So basically think of personal training, but think of about it as an online perspective. So I help people across the nation. So I've used technology. I built an app. I built an exercise library of over 1,000 different exercises, so people can see how to do the proper form. I'm responsible for their, exercise plan or strength training plan, their nutrition. So anyway, I help people transform their physique.
So what made you want to get into all this?
Interesting question. Back in like say 2004 or so. So it's kind of a long story. I used to work in finance. Not a lot of people know that. So I have an economics undergrad major, right? Worked in finance like whatever, I don't know, 7 years or something. So in finance, my first company, we went to a bodybuilding show. And we went to go see one of our colleagues, and I saw the ladies take the stage, the figure competitors, and I was sitting in the audience, and I was like, I can do this. And so I just tried it out the next year. Absolutely got massacred on stage. I trained for 1 year, did the same show. I ended up winning my class, and I ended up winning my professional card at that show, and then competed till 2018, right? But I was still working in finance. So this is about 2007 or 8 now, working in finance. And then it just hit me like, I'm really passionate about what I do as far as like helping people for working out. Because so many people were asking me, what should I do for working out or for nutrition? So it was just like a natural row into entrepreneurship.
So what madness kind of infected you when you were in finance and you went and saw this competition? What entered your mind that says, I can do that?
I've always been an athlete, like since I was 3 or 4. And so as an athlete, you had that mindset, like, I could do anything. All I need to do is put my mind to it. I think my parents instilled that in my brother and I growing up. Like, you could do whatever you want to do. You just have to work hard. You have to make sacrifices, etc. So when I saw those ladies just being an athlete, I grew up playing basketball, softball, and I was like, I don't know, just something in me, like that competitive nature is like, I can be just as good as them.
So you came back the first year and you got destroyed.
I got destroyed. I didn't place.
But why would you say you got destroyed? Like, did you do something wrong, or were you just overconfident?
Well, I mean, I think so in this sport, like there's so much to learn that first year because it's all about symmetry. Mm-hmm. So the longer you're in that sport, the better because your muscles mature. So, I mean, at that time, that was my first time really lifting weights. I mean, I grew up playing basketball, but we didn't lift weights like how a competitor does. So yeah, it was just a matter of, I don't know, first year, there's so much to learn. That learning curve is steep. And so I worked with a coach or trainer for a year after that, and the rest is history.
The funny thing about it is you mentioned about that, and I mean, okay, so Arnold Schwarzenegger had a documentary called Pumping Iron, if you're familiar with that or whatever. And I remember what they said about him in particular was for the size of a person he spent a long time, and it's basically, he would talk about sculpting his technique. I guess it's about symmetry, right? I don't know. But when you said that, it made me think about them having seen that years ago, and just, I think he referred to it as sculpting the body, etc. So, wow. So you not only have to train, but you have to, that would never work for me.
Yeah, you have to train. So it is about symmetry, left to right, top to bottom. But figure, like, we don't do the hard poses like the bodybuilders do. So the figure competitors, it's about grace on stage too. So you have to have that stage presence. You're in the 5-inch heels, and you have to know how to work it. So I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. It's not just about your body, but you have to display it to the world too.
Got it. That's pretty amazing. And so you did it. You came back the next year and you won a whole bunch of things.
Yes.
And you just liked it. You just said,
I
"Hey,
loved
I
it.
loved it. I loved doing this." Right? So you told me before we started the show today that you've retired in 2018. So you said, "Hey, I'm done doing this right now."
Yeah. So you know what? Honestly, that's a lot of years in the sport, because what happens is, this, like you're seeing me today, this is my regular size. But if I was to compete and get on stage, like I would drop to 9.5% body fat, 10% body fat, which is extremely low for women. And actually, some of those ladies were probably honestly coming in like at 8% towards my latter years. But essential body fat for women is probably 12% ish. And so we're taking it. So you're yo-yoing your body. You're going so extreme. It's just honestly the long-term effects. I just think it's not healthy.
So it can be very challenging if you're trying to do that, because it's not healthy. If healthy body fat for women is 12% or higher, then it's really hard to cut down to that kind of thing.
It is very difficult to, like, once you get to a certain percent, it's like super hard to continue to lose. But I'm just saying, like, it's not healthy on the body or the organs. You can't stay there. Like, a competitor never stays at their stage physique. That's impossible. But I'm just saying, it's just a rough life on the in total body. So I think sometimes in life you have to know when to get out. And for me, like, honestly, at that point, I did shows across the U.S. At that point, I did 3 international shows. I did enough. I accomplished enough. I had a blast. It was so fun.
So now you've leveraged this into your other endeavors,
Exactly.
right? You do speaking, you do motivational speaking, okay? You do fitness, you're a health coach,
Yes.
and you also handle nutrition as well. Do you train anybody else for fitness competitions, anything like that?
You know what? Very, very few and far in between.
Okay.
Most of my clients are just regular, everyday people. Like I said, I mostly work with the executives and busy professionals, one-on-one as far as clientele. But every blue moon, like a competitor, but not as many as I used to before.
Okay. And you also have a not-for-profit.
I do.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, so real quick, like 3 areas of my life. Like I say my passion is working with like the individuals one-on-one, and then like my calling is the book I wrote, because it kind of mixes that spirituality and fitness.
And will you tell us,
Yeah.
for listeners of the podcast, tell us the book, the name of it?
The
where we
book
can
is
get
called
this?
As For Me and My Body,
Okay.
right? And so really it's just a play off that scripture. As for me and my house, I will serve the Lord. So it's just like, as for me and my body, blank, blank, blank. So you fill in the blank for yourself. But it's a 21-day journey the reader goes through. So that's, I feel like, calling, right? Because it has a higher purpose. And then legacy is my nonprofit. And so for me, like when I look at the world and I see all these kids today, I'm just like, my gosh, we're not giving them a chance, because our obesity stats for kids is incredibly high. It's like 76% of our youth do not get enough physical activity per day. That's crazy to me. But it makes sense, right? Because we have all the screen time with these iPhones and iPads and whatever these kids are doing.
I think it's, I mean, to your point there, I think it's endemic. I mean, we've got it in the kids now. I think I saw a picture, somebody showed a picture of a whole bunch of ladies graduating college in the mid 70s. And then they showed the average graduating class now, and it was like, wow, we've definitely we've swollen up a little bit.
Yes.
I don't know what to call it.
Right. That's a nice term.
But
Swollen.
well, yeah, it was just kind of like, I was like, wow, these people are all thin, they appear to healthy and things like that, and it's just so different skipping to today.
Yeah, and so when that makes me think of, I remember growing up, like for kids, like when we were kids, there was maybe 1 or 2 quote unquote bigger kids, and now I feel like it's a lot of bigger kids.
So you talk about, you mentioned that you do nutrition as well. How important is the nutrition to that healthy journey as well? Not just the working out piece, right?
Mm-hmm. So you know what? People will say, oh, it's 80% nutrition, 20% exercise. yes and no, right? Like I agree and disagree at the same time because like for me, I feel like to unlock optimal performance, which is like a model that I use, you have to have exercise going at the same time. So like all these cylinders need to be firing at the same time. Exercise, nutrition, rest, and then understanding your own body or your own genetics. And I think that two areas that are very underlooked is rest. People don't sleep enough, like especially as Americans, and then also just understanding like your genetic history. And I tell and preach to clients all the time: listen to your body, listen to your body. So it's an art, to like wellness. But the more you're in tune with your body, the more efficient and effective you'll be.
I read a study. I'd be I can't remember the name of the study, but it was talking about looking at the landscape for people long term and health and wellness. And they said the number one determining factor of people being healthy and physically fit in their 80s is whether or not they were exercising and being physically fit in their 60s. And they said if there was one factor, like taking out nutrition, and I'm not saying nutrition is not a big part of it because they talk about that too, but they say that the exercise piece of it, that core component, doing those things, and there's study after study that keeps getting released about how exercise is it's one of the only thing. It helps with mental well-being. It helps
Oh
with
yeah,
health. It helps every aspect of your
every
life.
yes.
So why don't we do it more? So,
That's $1 million question. Why
well,
don't
I
we?
mean, so today on the podcast, Candice and I are going to launch a new company. I'm just kidding. But the thing about it is that, like, yeah, if we could find a way to kind of solve that equation in some way, I mean, I think the benefits to everybody would be huge.
And I think what you said was interesting because you said, "Hey, if you're 60 and you're working out, you're more likely to work out when you're 80." But then when you said it, I thought about like if you even take it a couple steps backwards. So like to get to 60 working out, you got to just go to 40, and then 40 go to 20, and 20 go to like 10 or something like that. So for me, I feel like it's all about a lifestyle, and the earlier younger you are trying to implement this lifestyle, the better off you will be because it's a part of who you are. It's your DNA. I just work out. Like I enjoy working out. Like I don't feel right when I don't work out, you know. So I just love for people to get to that lifestyle
It hints your focus with the not-for-profit on the kids.
on the kids.
I mean,
Exactly.
if you start there, if you get them to do it, then that's see, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now.
But I couldn't start there, like right, as a business, you got to have money. So
Yeah, there's
right,
that.
right.
Right. Well, no, but that's all part of it, right?
It's all part of it.
So, what made you want to start the not-for-profit in particular?
My gosh, just passion, like something that sometimes in life that desire that never goes away. Just I feel like it's a huge problem. I want to just be a part of helping to solve that problem. So I think my passion to transform others, help others, hopefully, like I said, leave a legacy, right? And so that my legacy, part of my legacy can be like, what, Candace helped play a part in shaping these kids' lives in this way, which is just wellness. But I think that's it.
And she started out in economics and finance. So there's help for all of us out there. There's hope for all of us. Sorry, let me change that. So,
Right.
well, I want to go a little bit into that, the kind of Kansas City now and kind of what you're doing here, et cetera. And before I go further, I always want to ask people, what is the most rewarding part about what you do on a day-to-day basis?
You know what it is? I get to help people like you, like just transform. So it's not only that physical transformation, we talked about it for a second, it's that mental transformation, sometimes spiritual, sometimes like just career life balance. But when I get to see people like increase their energy, have more confidence, it's crazy. Like I love the physical, but when people have more confidence, they have that swag, quote unquote, in their step and their walk, like it changes their complete
Oh, absolutely.
lives. Yeah, in so many
Absolutely.
different areas.
So, see, that just gives you a high every day. That's like a big
Right.
deal. Yeah.
It's a big
No,
deal.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, we brought you on the podcast in particular because you're one of these people you're actually physically transforming lives. So, in what ways would you say that you are helping make Kansas City a better place to live, play, and work? What do you think? How are you contributing to helping lift up the city?
Yeah, so I think it's part of that same answer I just said before. So I think that when people, let's just say, quote unquote, love themselves more, like when you're more confident, you're feeling good about your physique and the size. I don't know. I feel like you just do more good. So I think the small impact I make in individual lives then translates and kind of multiplies to others. So I hope that the impact I have in Kansas City is helping Kansas City become more well. I know our stats for obesity were towards the bottom of the list for the
Are we
country.
really?
Yeah, I don't remember what number, but we're not high on the list as far as our obesity rates and stats. So
So for you, for the not-for-profit in particular, are you getting involved with schools, or how do you get involved with these kids?
yeah, so honestly, we are looking to launch in January. So we've only done like a pilot thus far, but yes, the schools, and then also like think of like programs like Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
Yeah.
So we're going to be giving programs for the bigs to do with their littles, like other activities.
Oh, that's cool.
Really, do you remember Book It by chance?
No, I don't.
Okay, so when I was a kid growing up, we had Book It, which was you read a certain amount of books per month, right? And you took this little piece of paper to Pizza Hut, and then you got
Actually, no. I absolutely know it. I think it was called something else,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was definitely involved with. It might have been Book It. It was involved with Pizza Hut of all
yeah, so,
places, right?
So
Yeah.
here in Kansas City, it was called Book It. So it's kind of like the same type of concept, right? Kind of like self like paced, or these kids can do with their parents or they're big or whoever. And then it's going to be connected to some reward, but we still have to. We're working on that piece, but yeah, I mean, I think that like again, going back, if we could just transform or help these kids at a young age, it'll just help them out.
So if you're listening to this podcast, or if you're watching it online on YouTube or on the website, we're going to be linking in the show notes links to all of Candice's initiatives she's involved with. And will you say the name of your not-for-profit initiative again?
Yes, called Fight Globesity.
Fight Globesity.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
Meaning obesity is now a worldwide
It's a
problem.
global problem. So interesting. So this sounds like are there any other particular initiatives or projects you've been involved with that you're really proud of or you really love?
Like personal projects.
Yeah.
Sure. Like number one, I would say, so many people don't know, but I started a scholarship from my high school, Sumner Academy, years ago. I ran it. But anyway, it's been a joy. So like my very first year, I've kept in touch with two of the winners. And so now they're like, I don't know, early 30s, because
Oh,
this
wow.
is 20 years ago or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so now to see them like in their careers, like one is a pilot for FedEx, like doing global, like he does global flights. It's just, he does world travel all the time because of his job. And then one is a doctor, a medical doctor now. So just, I think watching them just grow into the
So what made you want to give a
adults.
scholarship? A lot of people don't do that. Like, what made you want to do it?
I think just it's ingrained in who I am as like in my family. I don't know, looking at like my parents, my cousins, my uncles, aunts. I don't know. It's just I think it's in the DNA of my family of like having that servant's type heart and just like helping others. I think that if I'm in a position to help somebody, why not help them if I can, right? And so it was 2006, and actually I was doing my first, I think it was my first pro show, so I kind of connected it to that. So I was doing a show, but kind of had like a hey fundraising type thing for the scholarship at the same time. But I don't know, it was just for me, it was a way to give back and then give back to my community, my high school, and help some future kids going to college.
No, absolutely. That's awesome. I also think there's a mentorship role. The fact that you said you've remained in touch with them. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I think that's probably been important to them as they've grown and developed in their positions. Am I incorrect in that?
I would think that's correct.
Well, if they remain in contact, I'd probably guess.
And now it's both ways, right? Like they're
Yeah.
adults, and I get as much joy just hanging out, chatting with them, and as in that reverse way as well. So I don't know. It's just it definitely brings a smile to my
Got
face.
Focusing on Kansas City for a second, there's a lot of stuff going on in KC. And I know you're from KCK. We're not By the way, this is a Kansas City podcast, so we're talking about the Metro. So we don't care if you're KCK or KCMO, so it's all right. But I did notice there's like a little bit of infighting between
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Like if you're from KCK or KCMO,
Right.
I didn't know that there was any of that, but it's kind of funny. So what unique opportunities or challenges do you see for Kansas City in the coming few years?
So I think we kind of hit on it, but just, for me, I think so much is tied back to obesity. And we're famous for our barbecues.
Yep.
So we're not the most active city. Like when you go to Denver, it's like a completely different vibe, or like being in San Diego or LA. So I don't know. I think Kansas City just has a huge opportunity just to do better in our wellness
Yeah.
or with our wellness. So
Well, they're revitalizing a lot of stuff downtown, etc. We had Lisa Pena on the thing. She does the.
we graduated together.
Wait, you know her? Oh, that's too funny. Well, she started doing these walks through Kansas City.
She has
And-
urban hikes.
Urban hikes. Yeah, that is really funny. Unaware of that. Now we know. It's a small world. So that's pretty funny. But I know that there's a lot of that. I mean, those kind of things are important, and having. I know they're doing some stuff downtown with the streetcar now and things like that. Maybe they'll help make that more walkable, so people can do more things down there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think there's more opportunity. We could just do better. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, increasing our bike trails or walking trails, like, for starters.
Is there anybody currently working on that right now? Do you know?
Oh, I'm sure. Like,
As
I'm sure
I'm
there
just
are like, city
asking.
governments and the state of Kansas, like our whole Department of Transportation.
Mhm.
So we haven't talked about it, but I sit on the Kansas Governor's Council
Got
on
it.
Wellness. I actually chair it right now, and so there's a lot of different initiatives going on around the state, like probably things people never even hear about. But I mean, I feel like we could still do better.
Yeah, got it. Is there one of these that you want to talk about? I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, you're on the governor's council for this. I thought maybe I should ask.
One of the projects.
Yeah, one
or-
of the things y'all are working on. What like something
Oh, got
cool.
you. So what we do is we do like a lot of policy to advise our Secretary of Health and our governor. So like for instance, we just got what's called Kansas Kids Fitness Day reinstated. So there's a group called KFERD, and it stands for like, sorry if I butcher it, but I want to say it stands for Kansas Physical Activity, Recreation, and Dance. Right. So there's a group, and it's comprised of like, I don't know, PE teachers and others. But anyway, they came to us to help get Kansas Kids Fitness Day reinstated. So that's one project that we have done. Others include tobacco prevention. So vaping is a huge ordeal now, and especially for like kids in high school. So anyway, we look at different policies and things like that.
You're doing all these really cool things. You're involved on the Governor's Council for Fitness. You got your not-for-profit that you're going to be launching. Officially, it launches in January. Officially, and you
Yeah.
finished the pilot for it.
Yeah, we did the pilot. Now it's just, you want to start, and then the timeline kind of gets pushed back.
It always
but,
does. Yeah.
So fingers crossed January. But no, we're working on right now, like just finalizing and developing like that content we need to, like with those challenges for those
Yeah.
kids to do. So we have to.
There used to be like a presidential
Oh, yeah.
physical fitness. Is that still a thing?
I think it's still a thing. Like there's still the website, but I don't know how.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. Like when we were little, it was like a huge thing.
It's the
right?
only guy I've
So-
ever won. I had the presidential physical fitness thing for like 3 years running because
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
do pull-ups and stuff and nobody else could do them. So,
Or that sit and reach,
yeah, the sit and reach. Well,
Remember
that was a
that?
big deal. I'm not the most flexible, but that's always been my kind of thing. But I worked on it for that. No, I thought it was a great thing, and I remember that was a big deal whenever that originally happened. I want to say that was under like I know that Arnold Schwarzenegger got put on the council for that or something like that.
So
nationally.
there's a council called the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. So maybe he sat on that.
This
and
is
that
like-
that council still
I think he did this
goes.
like in I want to say the early '90s, like George Bush
okay.
Senior was
Mhm.
somehow involved with it. I'm doing all this from memory, so this may be completely wrong. So don't take it to the bank. So you had this interesting way about you, and so was really wondering. This is kind of my collaboration thing. So you did scholarship,
Right.
right as you were getting into fitness modeling, not fitness modeling, into fitness competing. Sorry, that's a different piece a little bit there. So how do you personally approach collaboration and fostering unity within your community?
Yeah. So unique question. I think of two things. One, I think of best servant's heart. We spoke about. So I don't know. I think if you just put others before you, like if you help somebody out, then you're really gonna end up helping yourself too. Just because I don't know, just that nature of gratitude just multiplies. And so I think that's one way. And then just always just I don't know, putting your best heart forward. So having that collaboration mindset. So like I have one tattoo, but it's Ichigo Ichie, right? And so it's a Japanese phrase, and I had a chance to go, right? And our tour guide, she told us this phrase, and I just fell in love with it. So the Japanese, are very famous for their teas, and so you're given like a tea ceremony, you have like one chance to make that first impression with somebody. So I think in collaboration, like make sure you're putting your best heart forward, um, and then just let your natural personality shine through. So
Is there a personal experience or lesson that has significantly shaped your perspective on these things, or even your career for that matter?
personal experience.
Well, you
Well,
mentioned the servant's heart.
yeah.
So
Well,
did you just pull this out of thin air?
no,
I mean,
well,
no, I mean seriously, you might have. You wrote a book, so it could be in there.
No. I would say two things. Number one, so that's my faith, right? So my faith is Christianity, right? So I think that's where it stems from. But also, I have a global mindset. And so we haven't even really touched on that aspect. But like when I went to Japan, it's because instead of going to like when I was in college, instead of studying abroad in one country, I went to semester at sea. So semester at sea is like you live on a ship and you sail around the world with, at the time it was probably 600 college students. And so we started in Cuba and worked our way to Japan, 100-day voyage, right? Amazing, life changing experience. And so when you're quote unquote as Americans, and then we go to these other places that maybe are not, as developed, you see and witness a lot. And I think that gratitude of just being philanthropic or like really stem from that because you see so much in say South Africa or India and you're just all your senses are just awakened. You're like, whoa, like we are very, very blessed.
So, how did you stay informed and connected and engaged in the Kansas City community? What do you do personally to stay informed and engaged?
Yeah, and so I think part of what I was gonna say before too, for one of your questions, was just I think one of my strengths is just networking. Like I think I'm a good networker, just like having a genuine interest in others, and because I understand the value. It's not like so much what you know; it's like who you know, because like who you know can open up a lot of doors and opportunities. So I think that's one way I stay connected is just like just through my own network of who I know. Like there's always I don't know things or talks or I don't know things or events being like, hey, Candace, do this or here's something about Kansas City. I don't know. So I think just being plugged into the community through my own network is how I stay involved. But also like just having the opportunity to be the fitness expert for Fox 4. Yeah. Kansas City, I think, helps too, right? Just helping Kansas City with some quick fitness tips once a month.
Now, when did you start doing this stuff with Fox 4 originally?
So yeah,
When was
that relationship started in 2015.
Okay, so 2015. So you've been doing it since then, right?
Yes.
So how has that changed kind of your trajectory and what you've done? Has that been useful for you? I mean, tell me about it.
Yeah, very useful. One, I mean, from just like from the business standpoint, of course, right? Like whatever, it's great publicity, right, for the business. But from the personal development, it just is speaking, right? A lot of people have stage fright and things like that. So for me, it's like from the personal development. But I don't know. I think it's just opened a lot of doors. I think people see me, which is a blessing, like as a real fitness expert. There's so many people that can say they're a trainer,
Yeah.
personal trainer, health coach. And unfortunately, in our industry, there's no national certification, there's no national standard, right? So I think it helps just prove like the respect and
Why
authority.
is there no national standard? I've heard someone
I
say that
know,
before.
I know.
So Candice, you have your work cut out for you now. You have to establish a national standard.
Well, I
So
think I'll stay in my lane.
you'll stay in your lane. Oh, it's enough. It's okay. I'll just be on the governor's council and I'll do that
Yeah,
and have
yeah.
my not-for-profit. So I don't know. Somebody probably needs to do it. I don't know.
I agree.
What would it be? Right? I don't know.
Yeah, how would you do it? But I mean, but they do it for other industries. Like all
Yeah.
these other industries do it, so why can't we? I don't know. That bothers me that there's so many fly by the night
Yeah.
certification companies out there.
Yeah.
And so you end up injuring people, or people don't have the background and the knowledge that they should have.
So I do need to ask this question in particular. What do you love most about KC, and what helps it stand out from other cities?
Yeah. So what first comes to mind is just we're very, I think, welcoming. Um, we were kind of talking about it offline, even with your experience of moving here. I don't know. I just feel like being in the Midwest, and in particular Kansas City, I don't know. Most of us are very just friendly.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an easygoing place, and I think that's what stands out. Like you can go up to somebody and ask for, hey, directions, and you're not gonna feel like you're bothering them. Like I feel like it, quote unquote, is very different in New York versus like here. Everybody's just super focused. They're just trying to get to wherever they need to go.
Yeah.
Don't bother me. Don't talk to me. But we're more open and laid back.
I don't know. I've loved it. I've loved being here. Are there any local leaders or other influencers or things like that that inspire you in the KC community? You look at that person and say, "Hey, look, I know I'm doing these things, but just somebody I say I think they're doing great stuff."
Sure. And I think like people I personally know. So when I think about that question, maybe like my book publisher, she owns a company called Launch Crate. I think Launch Crate is doing some phenomenal things in Kansas City as far as like helping authors like actually make a profit writing a book, right? Because a lot of times it's so flipped. I think of Laura Owen. She owns a company called Healthy ID, and just how that company is doing. Like the whole basis is inflammation. How inflammation, if you can diagnose that, then it's the culprit to so many other chronic health issues. So I think what she's doing there. So I don't know. For me, influencers are people I personally know, and not like celebrities.
So, what do you see as the future of Kansas City, and what role do you hope to play in that future?
Well, since I'm like so focused on wellness, right? So the future of Kansas City is just more right? We're healthy, and that can be not only physically but just mental health as well, right? And so I hope that the part I'm playing is just helping others get there. And whether I'm your coach or not, but hopefully, maybe a nugget you've heard me speak or on Fox or social media, whatever, maybe there's a nugget you can take away and apply it to your life. So I hope that I'm helping to make Kansas City more which translates to so many more things.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a kind of a holistic thing. You have to start somewhere too with it. Um, so, what would you suggest to other people who want to get involved and make a difference in KC? Like, they want to get involved with your initiatives. How do they get involved?
Okay, so for mine, like if you go to CandiceMcField.com, you can find everything like I have going on. So whether it's like the one-on-one health coaching or As for Me and My Body or Fight Globesity, is that's a main hub for every single thing. But I think like outside of my initiative, like I think it's just a matter of I have this saying of you just have to jump in the pool and start swimming. I don't know what you're passionate about or what you want to do, but whatever it is, figure that out. And once you figure that out, just you don't have to have it perfect. Just jump in the pool. You'll figure it out along the way.
Got it. It's a very important question. The best barbecue in Kansas City.
For me, is Jack Stack, hands down.
Jack Stack.
Jack
A particular location, or is
You
it
know what? I
just-
like the Union Station location the best. I don't know. The decor is really nice. And then you know what? I love their rack of lambs, dry. Like I don't even need the sauce, just dry. Their baked beans are my favorite for all the barbecue places. Yeah. So,
Okay. I wanted to ask that. And kind of, are there any other local events or organizations and places in Kansas City you say, hey, I think people should know about this. It's a hidden gem, something I think is really cool here. Is there anything you have?
This has a spiritual element to it, but I just went to this really cool, like, I guess an annual dinner fundraiser for Hope International.
Okay.
And so Hope International is doing like microfinancing.
Oh.
So it's really powerful because it's not like handing out money to like people in other countries. Like they have several countries they work with in Africa. I want to say like maybe Central America and South America. But anyway, but the point is microfinancing. And I think that's an organization in Kansas City should know about. It has an international elements to it, but there's a Kansas City rep here.
Microfinancing is, some of my other podcasts, The Buck Stops Here, we always talk about one of the things that's the biggest determining factor of success in any company is access to capital.
Right.
And if you can't access capital, it might as well be the moon. And for the microfinance things allow people when they have an idea for a business, and especially in other countries, a small amount of money can be the difference in starting it and not. And I think that's huge. That's really huge. I would like to know more about that organization, and we'll put some stuff about that in the show notes. So, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, just thanks for having me.
No, you've been great.
Yeah,
you've been great, so.
Like I said before, I love meeting people, and I love connecting with people. So this has been fun, and I hope that you guys listening have gotten at least one piece of advice or nugget.
I've gotten 7. So,
7.
Yeah. There's actually really great stuff in here. So, well, Candice, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and thank you for your time. And we're going to put all the stuff in the podcast. And,
thank you for listening to the KC Leaders Podcast. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen. For more information about this podcast, you can visit kcleaderspodcast.com. And don't forget to check out our other great podcasts like The Buck Stops Here, streaming now on all major platforms and at thebuckstopsherepodcast.com.